Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into something pretty personal. It's building a good life, but without having to sacrifice joy.
We hear a lot about those people who chase success,
Yeah.
but end up feeling kind of empty.
Right.
So how can we create a life that's fulfilling and joyful all at the same time?
That's the question, isn't it?
Mm.
And it's something more and more people are thinking about these days. But the good news is that it's totally possible. You really can build a life full of meaning and joy.
Yeah. And we've got 3 key steps to help guide us along the way.
Okay, lay it on me. What's the first step?
Well, this one might surprise you a little bit.
Okay.
It all starts with deepening your relationship with God.
Now, I know that might not be for everyone,
Yeah.
but hang in there with us for a minute.
Okay.
For those of you who do have a faith, it's amazing how having a deeper connection to something bigger than yourself can just bring so much purpose to your life.
Yeah. And peace.
Yeah, a deep sense of peace.
Absolutely.
It's like there's this incredible power in knowing that no matter what you've done, you can always ask for forgiveness
Oh, for sure.
and start fresh.
It really is like hitting a reset button.
Yeah.
And you step into a new chapter with a lighter heart.
Yes.
And it's like that verse in Isaiah
Right.
that talks about your sins being washed as white as snow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a powerful image of being cleansed,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
just starting over. And that sense of freedom,
Yeah.
being forgiven, and being able to start fresh, that can be so powerful when it comes to finding that lasting joy that we're all looking for.
It really can. And when we talk about having a relationship with God,
Mm-hmm.
we're not talking about a bunch of rigid rules or complicated rituals.
Right.
It's about growing closer to a source of strength and comfort that can help you through all of life's challenges.
Yeah.
Like knowing you're not alone in your struggles, that there's something bigger than you supporting you and guiding you through.
And this relationship, it can look different for everyone.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's not about fitting into some sort of box or following a set path.
Right.
It's about that genuine desire to connect with something bigger than yourself,
Right.
to find that feeling of belonging and purpose that comes with knowing that you're a part of something bigger than just your own individual experience.
And what's interesting is that we're seeing more and more people finding that connection outside of traditional religion.
Oh, yeah.
More and more people are identifying as spiritual, but not religious, which I think suggests that wanting a deeper connection is universal, even if the way it looks is different for everyone.
It is fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. So I want to pause for a second and ask you, the listener,
Yeah.
to think about this. What does a relationship with God look like for you? Or a higher power? Or even just like a deep connection to something bigger than yourself?
Yeah.
And how could that connection lead to a life that's more joyful?
It's a powerful question to consider, and a perfect segue to our next step, which is all about going after your passions and finding your unique purpose. Get ready to tap into what makes you feel truly alive. So when we talk about purpose, we often think about this big monumental task,
Yeah.
Like we need to have everything figured out right from the start.
Right.
But what if it's less about having all the answers and more about those little sparks of joy?
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, those times when we feel truly alive and engaged. What if those are the things that really matter?
I love that. It's like those moments are clues. Breadcrumbs leading us to our purpose. And the more we pay attention to them, the more joy we find along the way.
You got it. And those little clues, they can pop up anywhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maybe it's a hobby that you've always loved and never really had time for, or a skill you've always wanted to learn. It could even be some cause that you're really passionate about.
That makes me think of that quote by Howard Thurman.
Oh,
He said, "Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive."
I love that.
It's so true, right?
It is.
Like when we're truly in tune with what lights us up, it just shines out of us and we naturally make the world a better place.
Exactly. And there's this cool concept in psychology. It's
Okay.
called flow. And it's all about tapping into your purpose and just experiencing pure joy.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about flow.
So, have you ever been doing something and you get so into it that you completely lose track of time?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Like what? Give me an example.
Like when I'm writing,
Oh, yeah.
I get so lost in the words,
Totally.
hours just fly by.
That's exactly it. That's flow.
Wow.
It's that feeling of being totally immersed in what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's challenging, yeah, but it's not overwhelming and you're just totally engaged, you know? You have all this energy. And research actually shows that when you experience flow, it's not only good for happiness, but also for being super productive.
So basically, if we can find those things that put us in that flow state, we're pretty much tapping into our purpose and boosting our joy all at once.
You got it. It's like those flow states are glimpses into what we're really meant to be doing, you know?
Yeah.
They're like these little signs pointing us toward a life that's full of meaning and joy.
Okay, so it's not about pressure.
No, not at all.
It's about following those things that light us up.
Yeah. It's about approaching life with a little curiosity, you know?
Yeah.
And playfulness, and just following those sparks of joy wherever they lead us.
Love it. Now, you mentioned something earlier about serving others.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So there's another side to finding your purpose that I think is really important. It's the idea of serving others.
Okay.
I know. It might sound a little strange at first.
Yeah.
We're talking about building a joyful life for ourselves, right?
Right.
But get this, focusing on helping others, you know, making a difference can actually be a huge part of finding that joy.
It's funny because when you really think about it, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
When we shift our focus away from ourselves onto doing something good for the world around us, that's where we find real meaning and purpose.
That's right. And we're wired for that, you know, for
Yes.
connection and making a difference. So when we serve others, we don't just impact their lives, we also enrich our own.
There's a powerful quote by Martin Luther King Jr. He said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?"
Mm-hmm.
It's a good reminder that true joy doesn't just come from looking for our own happiness, but from using our gifts and talents to make a difference in the world.
Yeah. And serving others, it doesn't have to be some big heroic act, you know?
Right.
It can be something small, like just listening to a friend who needs to talk, or volunteering in your community, or even just being kind and compassionate in your everyday life.
Like all those little acts of kindness,
Right.
They create a ripple effect.
They do.
It's like a web of positive energy that benefits everyone involved.
Exactly.
So I guess the question to think about is, what makes you come alive? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world?
Because when we line up our actions with our passions and our desire to serve others, that's when we create a life that has meaning and radiates with joy.
So true.
Yeah.
And that leads us perfectly into our last step, which is all about understanding that true joy can't exist without taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like we can't give to others or chase our passions if we're running on empty ourselves.
That's such a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Like trying to pour from an empty cup. And we often see self-care as something extra, you know,
Right.
a luxury. But it's actually essential to living a joyful and fulfilling life.
It really is essential.
Yeah.
And self-care isn't just about bubble baths and spa days.
Right. Although those are nice.
They are nice.
Yeah.
But it's really about those choices we make to nurture our physical, mental, and emotional well-being.
Yeah, it's about creating a lifestyle that really supports your health and happiness.
Exactly.
And that includes things like getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, moving your body in ways that feel good, and even finding ways to relax and de-stress.
Like taking care of a garden.
Yeah, I like that.
We need to give ourselves the right conditions to thrive. And that means giving our minds and bodies the equivalent of sunlight, water, and good soil.
Exactly. And you know how a garden needs regular weeding and pruning? Well, our mental and emotional well-being also needs some tending to.
Yeah.
We've got to get rid of those negative thoughts and patterns that are holding us back.
That's so true. You know, it's fascinating how connected our physical and mental health really are.
Yeah,
We often think of them as separate things,
right.
but they're really two sides of the same coin. When we take care of our bodies, it helps our minds. And when we take care of our minds, it helps our bodies.
It's true, and people are starting to recognize this more and more. Even in the medical field, there's a real shift happening toward a more holistic approach to healthcare these days.
Yeah, it's like we're finally realizing that we're not just a bunch of separate parts. We're whole beings with complex needs.
Exactly. And when we take care of all those needs, that's when we can experience real joy and fulfillment.
So true. So as we wrap up this last step, I have a question for you, dear listener. What does self-care look like for you? What are some things you can start doing today to take care of your physical and emotional well-being? take a moment to think about those questions as we get ready to wrap up our deep dive.
All right, so let's do a quick recap of what we've covered today.
Okay.
We talked about 3 key steps to build a good life without sacrificing joy.
Yeah.
We started with deepening your relationship with God or a higher power. We talked about how freeing and peaceful it can be to know that you're forgiven and loved no matter what.
Right.
And remember, that connection can look different for everyone.
It's a personal journey.
Absolutely. Then we moved on to chasing your passions and finding what you were put here to do.
Yeah, we talked about paying attention to those moments of joy, those times when you feel most alive.
Right. Those are your clues leading you toward a life that's aligned with your gifts. And then we discussed flow, that feeling of being so absorbed in something that time flies by.
Right, like when I'm writing.
Exactly. And those flow states, they're like little winks from the universe showing you what you're meant to be doing. We also explored how fulfilling it can be to serve others, using your talents and passions to make the world a better place. It's amazing how focusing on others actually brings us more joy.
It's like that saying, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others.
Beautifully put. And lastly, we discussed the importance of making self-care a priority. Taking care of your body, mind, and spirit is an act of self-love.
And it's not selfish at all, it's essential.
Absolutely. You know, it's amazing how interconnected these 3 steps are.
Yeah, they all work together.
When you have that strong foundation of faith, it gives you purpose and strength to take care of yourself. When you pursue your passions and find your flow, it gives you energy physically and emotionally. And when you prioritize your well-being, you're more able to serve others and live a life that reflects your values.
It's like they all weave together to create a life that's both fulfilling and joyful.
Exactly. So as you continue on your own journey, remember, the path to a good life is unique for everyone.
But searching for joy is a journey we can all take together.
It's about those daily choices you make, the things that nurture your soul, align with what you believe in, and bring you closer to the life you dream of.
And remember, even small steps can lead to big changes. So what's one little thing you can do this week, inspired by what we've talked about today, to build a life that's full of meaning and joy?
Maybe it's spending some time in quiet reflection, or reaching out to someone you care about, or trying something new that sparks your curiosity.
Whatever it is, trust that you have the power to create a life filled with purpose, peace, and most importantly, joy.
Keep shining your light and spreading joy everywhere you go. We'll see you next time.